Hello. My name is Teresa, and well, not read, but I watched your video of why doesn't God um, heal amputees or something like that. 10 questions intelligent questions Christians. Um, I am a Christian, and I consider myself to be intelligent. I am actually in school, um, working to acquire my degree as a pharmacist, my doctorate in PharmD school. I'm currently going, working on my first degree, and I'm hoping to have others because I do like to learn. But I found it somewhat disturbing that I found it somewhat disturbing the points that you attempted to make about God. Um, you said that 3 out of 4 doctors believe that God is performing miracles, and I tend to agree with them. You cannot, well, let me first. You talked about amputees and starving children. First of all, God is not a God of magic tricks. Okay, you can't sit there and think that God is going to poof somebody's legs back. And I'm wondering if you are an amputee and if you prayed to get your legs back and you didn't get your legs back, or you knew someone and that happened and that's why you feel this way. Second, about starving children. Children are starving over in these lands because of what people have done in these lands, not because of anything that God has done.
I submit
Okay?
to you that computer is going to be the final end of us.
And God should not be put on the spot to undo what we have done. He gave us free choice. And if we chose to go and rape a country and then leave it desolate and expect for these people to pull themselves out from up under the rubbish, that's rubbish. Okay? Second of all of the killing that God demanded in the Old Testament was rebuked in the New Testament when Christ came into the picture. That's the whole reason that he died. But let's look at all the things that you said. Homosexuals, children that are extremely disobedient, adulteresses, prostitutes, things that
You know why
wreck
that's going to
people's
be the end of
lives.
us? You found another thing to do without you.
Well, come over here and do it with me. This is a very important subject. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Would you like to come and talk about it with me? Um, as far as slavery, do we not work? We work every day for a paycheck that for a lot of people don't really barely like pay the bills. You know, is that not just like slavery? You're basically on the plantation working with hopes that you get some scraps. You know, you might not get whipped with a whip, or you might not get, you know, killed for disobedient, but you will get fired. Okay, your pay will, you'll lose pay. You know, you can get demoted and you lose your position. There's several things that can happen. So that's my thought on the slavery issue. You had a thought about good good people having bad things happen to them. Once again, this is a God gave you free will, free choice. If you choose to do things that's bad for you and bad things happen, you can't expect for God to come in and fix that all the time. You know, that's just like this whole housing crisis. Okay? They took minorities, sold them a bunch of baloney. Minorities fell for it, very well knowing that it was a bunch of baloney, and they did it anyway. Now they're losing their houses, going into debt, having bad credit, worse than what they had before. Okay? And everybody's saying that it's just their fault. They made a bad decision, true indeed, but didn't everybody else? Didn't the government? Didn't the Federal Reserve? But anyway, um, where are all the people that Jesus did miracles for? The people back then in the Bible, they're all dead. Okay? But for those that are alive, there are plenty of people that are not on drugs to this day, which is a miracle because they gave their life over to Christ. There are a lot of people, me for one, my daughter, I have a sign, I could prove to you that my daughter had a cyst in the back of her brain before she was born. We prayed over my stomach for 1 month, which was from the 8th month to the 9th month. My daughter was 2 weeks late. When I gave birth to my daughter, there was no cyst, and the doctor could not understand. You said why we don't feel God, or why God doesn't, appear when we say God appear. Like I said before, God is not like a genie in a bottle. This is not a magic trick. He does not have to prove himself to anyone. That's kind of like you walking into your job after working there for years and they say, hey, how do I know you can do this job? What do you mean? I've done it. Now, to you, just because you're in the physical, it's acceptable. But if you did all of this over the computer and then you walked in and they said, how do we know that you are who you are? You could very well be someone else proclaiming to be, this person that did all this work for us over the computer. You would then have to prove yourself. Why? You did the work. If they don't want your services, oh well. You just go to the next person, and give your services to them. Um, about the body and the blood. It's kind of like Christmas or Easter or, birthday cake and ice cream. You know, it's just like a ceremony. That's all. That tree Christmas has become a pagan holiday. Well, not a pagan holiday. I guess you could say, or you could not say. It's totally up to you because everybody's perception of things are different. But anyway, that's my thought on the whole body and the blood thing. It's just a way. It's something that you do in remembrance of someone. It's just like going to someone's grave and leaving flowers. They're never going to see the flowers again. But because you love that person, you took flowers to their grave. You'll never see them again either. But you carry them in here. You carry them in your heart. And that's why you do what you do. The last thing that you said was married people that are Christians get divorced the same as, you know, carnal people, people that are not Christians. And the reason that that happens is not because of God, it's because of self. It's because we would rather commit adultery. We feel like, oh, well, I don't want to try to make it work with you anymore. You're not even worth it. Oh, you got fat, or, you're losing your hair, or, this girl's younger, that guy's younger, that guy's older. This guy will take care of me. That girl will do what I want her to do. There's so many selfish reasons that marriage ends that has absolutely nothing to do with God. Marriages last for 50, 60, and 70 years because people do God-like things to and for each other. And that's why they stay together so long. I've come up with very simple reasons why your questions to me are kind of bogus. You know, um, God don't heal amputees, not because he don't want them to have legs, you know. And yes, it might sound foolish to a lot of people, but there's a lesson to be learned. There's a strength that is given. There's courage and understanding and empathy that is given to a person with no legs that might not be given to a person that's walking around with both legs. Because a lot of us take for granted that we can walk up and down the street or that we can run. A lot of us take for granted that we can breathe and not have an asthma attack. Those that have asthma, why don't God cure them? Why don't God raise the dead up out the ground when we lose a loved one? You know, God don't have to perform magic tricks to prove that He's God. You know, I I don't know. There's a lot of things on this YouTube thing about discrediting God and God doesn't exist. There's no such thing as God. I'm a Christian. I love God. I love Jesus. I love life. And I just hope that you all get to the point where your life does not have to be about not believing in God and not teaching others, not to believe in God or to believe in God. Because I'm not here to try to make you believe in God. That's on you. You could do with what I've said whatever you want to. You can erase it or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But it's up to you what you believe, and it's up to me what I believe. I've just answered your questions, and I answered them intelligently. You have a blessed day.